Alright, cool. Let's jump into this video tutorial together. What we're going to be working on is removing the green screen background from a video that I just shot, and we're going to do this in Sony Vegas Pro. So this would work well if you're trying to do green screen stuff, and some people call this chroma keying. That's probably a more technically appropriate term. So let's jump in. I've got a clip here that I just shot a minute ago, and what we're going to do is work together on getting the green background to go away. So I'm going to go ahead and drag this clip onto the timeline. And we'll give Sony Vegas Pro just a second to render that clip out. Cool. Alright, so here you've got the green screen background, and we're going to make that go away together. So the first thing we're going to do, pick a good spot in your timeline here where you can work. Not to be super picky, as long as you got steady lighting. So then we're going to go to the Video Effects tab, and you could also do this by clicking on this button over here on the end of the video track, but I prefer to use this quick access here. We're going to drag the green screen down onto our clip, and you're going to get a dialog box that pops up. Let's go ahead and close that. And before we do that, we're actually going to do one more thing. We're going to put a black background, just a solid color behind our clip, just to help us work with this chroma keying. So we'll drag that onto its own video track just below our clip here. Stretch that out just so we don't have to worry about where it's located. Good, so let's go back to the chroma keying portion. So on our video track, we can click on this little Event FX shortcut here. You could also do this by right-clicking and going up to Event Effects. And the black background is going to be really helpful here, because when we turn on the mask only mode, which is here, it's going to turn our clip into black and white. And this is going to help us because what we want to do is we want to get rid of everything that is black, and we want to keep everything that is white. Or let me say that the other way around. Everything that's white we want to keep, or we're going to keep. Everything that's black, Sony Vegas is going to get rid of for us at rendering. So the first thing I usually do is I work with the low and high thresholds. And so this is going to get us the quickest path to cleaning up this clip. So when I I start with the low threshold first. When I drag this up, you're going to notice that the video preview window is going to start getting much higher contrast. It's going to be really sharp blacks and whites. So we're going to lose a bit here. If you see, the blacks are getting to be pretty severe. So what was the table there is gone. In fact, a lot of me is gone. So we're pretty high up there. We've erased a little too much. But now if we bring the high threshold down, we'll bring it down, and we should be able to come back quite a bit. And so the fact that I'm turning really white is actually a very good thing, because that means all of me is staying. My hair, my body, everything. Maybe a little too far. Let's stop right there. So you can see that my body outline's pretty sharp. I'm losing a little bit of hair up here. It's kind of speckled. Table's kind of in and out a bit. So let's try this and see where we get. So let's work with our greens first. We want to try to work with the greens and see if we can get some of this to come back ever so slightly. By the way, if you're working on a computer that's not like incredible video capabilities, you can always change your preview window to something like Draft Auto, and it'll help your preview window to update a little quicker. Cool. So let's do a little bit of green add back. Just a little bit. So we're at full green now, and we're starting to see some noise developing in the corners here, and that means on our green screen we probably have a shadow over here. It's a little too dark, or a little darker. That's okay. So let's next try to work with the reds a little bit. We're trying to get the table outline to just be sharp as a tack, and make sure that this is all nice and clean without having noise, in my case over here in the corners. You could have it anywhere, but you want to work to try to get rid of this stuff because it will show up in your clip. So let's drag our red down a bit and see what this does. Looks like we're gaining a lot of our table back, so that's pretty good. Let's go a little farther and see if it gets better or worse. Doesn't seem to matter after that little threshold there, so we'll leave it there. So you can see now we've got pretty solid black, and this is really solid white. But we got a little bit of noise in the corners here, which is frustrating. So Reds didn't seem to do anything there. You'll have to play with these on your clip and just work with them slowly. Make sure you're watching your preview window so you're not jumping ahead of yourself. Let's try a little bit of blue and just see if maybe these noisy parts right here are actually blue instead of green. So let's just try taking away a little bit of blue. That's pretty close. We pretty much got rid of blue. So maybe dropping green back down just a little bit. Ah, yes. Wow. Okay. So turns out we kind of wasted our time taking the green up. We should have just taken the blue out and taken a little bit of red out. So where we are now, we've got this pretty sharp table. We've got a pretty sharp outline around my body, and then a nice little cutout right here. So we'll take a quick look at that clip. So looks something like that. It's not going to be perfect. You're going to want to preview your clip. Like I just jumped ahead in the timeline and I see that there's some noise right here in underneath my arm. So what I would do is jump to that masking mode again and put a little color back in there. It looks like that's actually a blue tone that's going away there. So I put a little green back. Kind of jump around a little bit on your timeline and see if you're not getting noise in weird places. As the light changes, you're going to see the chroma keying is going to have a little bit different effect. Of course, depending on the quality of your video, may not be that critical. Cool. So that's a pretty good setting right there. So you can kind of see my settings here. I'm at 757 on the low, 787 on the high. I don't have any blur. I'm not even using any of that to soften the edges, which depending on the type of setting you're in, you may want to do that because I'm going to be really sharp, which may not be appropriate for your setting. So if we turn the masking off, here's a good preview. So again, start with your low threshold, bring that up quite a ways until you get some pretty good contrast going. Bring your high down and keep working with these. It really just depends on the green screen and how the lighting was as to where you'll be on these settings. Then work with your greens first, your reds next, and finally your blues to get a pretty good nice sharp clean image there. So to kind of give an idea what this will look like, let's go ahead and put a gradient on behind me here and we can get an idea. And let's make this center color here kind of a maybe a lighter gray, and then let's make this outer color kind of a darkish gray and drag this guy out. Good. Okay, and then let's mute the black track, drag this guy all the way over. So something like that. I mean, you could play with this and change this center color. You could go to like some blues or something. Add a little bit of color in. You know, up to you what you'd like to do there. The gray looks pretty good there. So that's how you work with chroma keying. I'll go ahead and render out a section of this so you can see what it looks like when it's fully rendered out. I'll probably get rid of this green and go back to a gray. Much better, much more pleasing color to render to. There we go. So hopefully you enjoyed this tutorial. If it's really helpful, if you'd like more tutorials for Sony Vegas Pro using cameras, videography, things like that, please subscribe, comment below, and hit the like button on this video and share it. And stay tuned. I'll see you in the next video.
After the survey, how many people will say, sure, you guys don't spam me, right? Of course we don't spam people. We send an email about once a month, but you can send it however frequent is good for you.